Hello again everyone, it's Kama. Welcome to my channel. If you're just joining me for the very first time, I would love for you to subscribe and click that bell so that you'll know when I post new videos. What I want to do today is to do a follow-up to a video that I did, how to stand your ground with friends and family. So this is part 2. Now if you never got to watch part 1, please check it out, how to stand your ground with friends and family, part 1. So this is part 2. I had a couple more stuff I wanted to add, because when I did part 1, sometimes you do stuff and you go and sit down and you say, no, I forgot to say this, I forgot to say that. Like when you're arguing and you don't remember the stuff, the really nice, juicy stuff that you should have said until the argument is over. And you sit there thinking, I know you want the argument to start again so you can get to say that juicy stuff. Yeah, something like that. So I went to sit down and I said, you know what, I forgot to mention so and so and so. So I'm going to do part 2. And if anything come back into my head later, I might do part 3. So the first point I want to start with is don't feel like you need to lend stuff to your family or friends. And by stuff I mean it's not just money, but don't feel like you have to lend your clothes, your shoes, your car. You're not obligated to lend these things to your family or friends. I remember once this co-worker of mine, we were getting close. We actually ended up in a relationship later down, but we were just getting close as co-workers. And I remember this person saying to me, do you think you have what it takes to be my friend? Now, I don't know whether he was joking or not, but sometimes people go on like they're joking and they're really not. Do you have what it takes to be my friend? I said, what on earth do you mean? And he said, well, suppose I wanted $5,000 to borrow, $5,000 to borrow. You could lend me. Or suppose I wanted this or that. You could lend it to me. I said, so is that how you define your friendships? Somebody should be in the position to lend you $5,000 or they can't call yourself your friend. And he laughed, but I later realized he wasn't really joking because that's really how he was. But it's something I realized later. And that's what I said, you should always, you see that first impression and you see when people tell you bad things about themselves, don't laugh it off. Take it to heart. They are telling you this is how I am. Right? So you do have friends and family who will feel like if you can't do anything to help them, you cannot be their friend. Or don't bother to go tell nobody that you're my relative. If I can't come to you for this, you can't lend me this or that. What's your use? You actually do have people who feel this way. Right? And sorry, you now have to learn to cut them off. Cut them off because they're just there to use you. That's all they're there to do is to use you, whether they're blood or water. Cut them off. Friendship and family are for support, not abuse. Friendship is for companionship, not codependence, right? Friendship is for loyalty, not blind allegiance to something just because. Friendship is for bonding, not slavery. So please get that straight in your head and don't allow anybody to abuse you. Abuse the fact that you were born in the same family as them, or abuse the fact that you're so-called using the term friend. Now, I want to speak to the grandmas again. Grandma, I spoke to you in part 1. My heart was touched again to come back, Grandma, and say something more to you. No. Those people who keep leaving their children on you, grandma, you need to charge them. You need to tell them your rates. Don't make them decide the rate, because they can't go to the nursery and say, this is all I have, This is all I have. I don't have no more. You tell them what your hourly rate is, grandma. Because you have some people who feel like they can bring children into the world and then push them off on somebody else because it's relative, because grandma know what to do. Grandma don't have nothing at home doing. I'm speaking to you because I see this, it is rampant. And people need to take responsibility for the children that they create. I'm not saying you can leave your kids with grandma for, couple hours or even a weekend or even holiday every once in a while, sure. But you have people who believe it is grandma's duty, her responsibility to raise their kids, and she don't raise hers already. I'm saying no. And if you're going to be dropping off your kids to grandma, give her some money. Because more than likely she's not working again at her age and she needs to buy her stuff. Stop taking the lady for granted. Stop taking the lady for granted. Pay her for the time that she's going to spend. And some of you know that your children don't have any behavior either. Grandma, the rude kids, charge them extra for the rude kids. The ones who can't behave, the ones who can't take instructions and want to run your house. Because you know that when you were raising your kids had to do what you said, don't it, grandma? So when they come with the bad behaving kids that they did not raise properly, charge them extra for the rude ones. I'm serious. Charge extra for the rude ones. Now, those young adults who have taken the responsible step of moving out because they want to go get their groove on and they can't do it under grandma's house roof. They want to go live life. I'm all for that. I moved out when I was 19, I lived on my own. So yes, I'm all for you taking responsibility, but guys, look out for them coming back. You see, when you see them coming back with the big garbage bags and they're heading for the pantry, they're heading for the cupboard, they're heading for the fridge, you need to monitor them, because hear me now, they will clean you out because they're going to live on their own. They didn't understand. You see, when they were at home and the bills were being paid and the fridge was stocked, they didn't understand all that went into pulling that off, right? So now that they're adults and they've gone into the work and they need to go do their thing, they need to do the other thing too and pay the bills. When they come with the dirty clothes, the cheesy socks, the sweaty t-shirts, charge them. Let them pay a little fee for using the laundry. They will come with their garbage bags full of laundry, using up your water and your detergent, and then they pack up and they're gone. And they raid your fridge and they raid your pantry and your cupboard. You need to monitor them. Go to the side and look carefully what they're doing, right? Because they're going to come and say, oh, just come to look for my grandma, just come to look for my moms. Can't a guy come and look for his moms? Watch them. Watch them. Don't allow them to raid you. No. What's my next point? Because I was inspired to come back and deal with these issues, So I have to make sure I'm going one by one. Now, you have persons who feel like dysfunctionality is the norm. And it's actually so rampant that we do feel like it's the norm for the family to be dysfunctional. Hear me now, it is not. And if it means that you need to break the cycle by cutting off the dysfunction, you are going to have to do that. Start your new traditions. New traditions, new paradigms. Don't bring over this cycle of dysfunction to your kids that you're trying to raise properly. If it means you have to cut them off, okay? Stand your ground, cut off who need to cut off. Whether if it's friend or family, cut them off. You're not carrying the dysfunction over. You're breaking the cycle. Right? Now, be very careful of those friends or spouses who are going to require that you cut off your family. Even though I just don't say cut them off. I just don't told you to cut off the dysfunctional one. But hear me now, I'm saying you have some dysfunctional friends and spouses who are going to require that you cut off your normal, loving relatives and friends because they want you in their corner to manipulate you. Be very careful of this new person coming into your life and then all of a sudden you hear that. Don't go over. Why are you going to look for them so often? What happening down there? I remember somebody asked me. So I was going to look for my friend and this person asked me, what's happening down there? What's happening at our house? So why you need to... Hello? Don't cut off your friends and family to please a spouse or to please a so-called friend. They want you cornered so that you don't have the support so they can do what they want. They can have their way with you psychologically and otherwise. Be very careful of that. It's one of the first signs of an abusive person. Now, let me see what else did I jot down. I have to make sure because I was inspired to come back. I had a friend who I met her spouse before I met her, right? I met her through him. And then so she and I became closer, and then she and him broke up. And I was still reaching out to him and still friends with him, and she cut me off because of that. It's like she was saying, because she told me the story of what happened between them. So in her mind, she's saying, if I know all of this, there's no way I can want to be his friend. But I'm saying he didn't do me anything. I don't, tell me if I'm wrong. Comment and tell me if I'm wrong. He didn't do me anything. I know him as a decent person, same way. She's saying he did XYZ in their intimate relationship, which I'm not a part of their intimate relationship. So why is it that I can still be friends with him? She cut me off completely. So tell me what you feel about that. If you have a friend, you met the guy before the girl, and then the two of them break up. She requires that you cut him off. I don't know. He have to do me something for me cut him off. I don't have them kind of allegiance. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but that's it. No, I need you to know, if you're my friend or family, I'm not putting myself in trouble for you. I'll support you if you get into trouble. I'll support you if I can, and I'll try and bail you out, right? But especially if you're a repeat offender, especially if it has to do with the law, with the jailbird thing, I'm not going to bail you out. Now, I know some of you going to come and say, but, we're supposed to look out, we're a family, we must look out for each other, and, mama never raised us like that. Well, mama never raised any jailbird. I remember very clearly mama saying, don't do that because you're going to go jail. Do this if you don't want to go jail. Mama didn't raise any jailbird. Mama never raised us like that. You're absolutely right. So if you didn't take the guidance and you go do your crap, I'm not going to bail you out. I'm not going to bend backwards for somebody who did not take any hearing just because we're a family. Certainly not. Okay, so get yourself together. Now, when it comes to the skills that a family member or friend might have, yes, I will patronize you, right? If you are skillful at what you're doing, if you give quality work. But don't think that I'm going to patronize you just because you're a family or just because you're a friend. If I have a house building, I know say you're going around saying you're a mason and carpenter, and I see some little thing where you bitch up, I'm not hiring you, I'm going to somebody else to hire. If I have plumbing to do, and I know that you're not reliable, I know that you don't do quality work, I'm going to hire a different plumber. Whatever the job is, whatever the job, even if you're a doctor, and too many of your patients dropping dead, I'm not coming to you. Okay? So don't think just because you're a friend, just because you're family. When it comes to work ethic, if you're not up to standard, I'm not hiring you. Straight. And I don't want you to hire me just because I'm friend or family either. If I don't give quality work, I'm not expecting you to hire me. So that's how it goes. If you're a friend or family, don't think you're automatically going to be accepted on my social media, whatever the platform. If I know that you can't take a joke, because listen, when I'm on social media, I have an alter ego, okay? I cuss and I do all kind of crap. So if I know you can't take a joke and I know you can't handle certain stuff, I'm not going to accept your requests. You're not coming on there, because you're just going to be blocked anyway. You're not coming. It's simple. So if you want us to remain friends and family, maybe the best thing is for you to stay in the real world. Don't come on my social media and try to get me to, why you post that and why you do that. Oh crap, oh no. Stay in reality. Don't come on my my virtual reality space and try to you can't dictate to me in reality either, so I don't know why you think you must try to do that otherwise. Alright, so I think I have how many more points? 2 more points? No, 1 more point. The last point is, no, you can't get my kidney. I need my 2 kidneys. I don't care if we're a perfect match. Yes, we're relatives, and we might have the perfect match. I'm not giving away any of my kidneys. Maybe to my mom and my children, that's it. My mom and my children can get 1 of my kidneys. No other relative or friend, don't bother to ask. I'll give you blood. I'll donate blood, okay? You can get blood. Okay, yeah. So that's it. You can get blood, no kidneys. Alright, so I'm just going to close up by saying, listen, whatever the relationship is, it doesn't have to last forever for it to be worthwhile. Whether it's blood relation, family, friends, spouse, through marriage. It can last a month, a year, 10 years. It don't have to last forever for you to feel like, oh my God, it failed. No. You can have a friendship that lasts for 6 months and it's a perfectly good friendship, a worthwhile friendship, mutually beneficial friendship. You can have a marriage that lasts 6 months. That is a worthwhile marriage. In my opinion, it don't have to last 20, 40, 200 years. When it runs its course, it runs its course. Some things are just there for a time. And as long as you know you put in your all, and the other person can say, well, I put in my all, it ran its course, we outgrew each other. Some outgrowing occurs sooner than some, right? So you don't have to feel like it has failed. And like I said, start your own brand new family traditions. And if the family reunions are becoming too tedious, too taxing on your spirit, don't attend. Don't attend. Don't make yourself feel like a slave because you happen to have been born in a particular family. You had to be born through somewhere, some route, but don't feel bound to it. If it's not working out for you, it's not working out for you. And we can part on friendly terms. We don't have to part with the guns firing. Please subscribe, and I'll see you next time.